We are almost at the end of the day. It's a sort of chance just to try and pull it together, and we're going to get you to use your iPads to vote a little on some of the things. I mean, let me just give a few impressions as a bit of an outsider, eavesdropping really on your agony. I mean, it all, in some ways, has just felt like the day is going around in circles because we're hearing the same things again and again. But I think that's a good thing, really. Because that actually tells you there are some themes that are emerging, and they're emerging with some force and some strength. And I just couldn't agree more with what Ian just said. It's really a matter of turning them into action rather than sticking to them as words. It looks to me as though the industry sometimes works extremely well. We had some very good examples of it working well. Sometimes it doesn't work well, and it just looks a bit haphazard as an outsider as to whether it works well or not, or whether the relationships are a problem or not. And I suppose the overriding message of the day is that it's worth just investing something in relationship management, both sides, clients and agencies. It's worth investing something in it because if you just invest a little bit in it up front with some of the ideas we've heard, you can forget about it then and get on with the real job, which is not thinking about relationships. If you look after your bones by drinking milk when you're a child and having calcium, you can forget about your bones, which is clearly what you want to do. You don't want to be thinking about your bones, you want to be thinking about other things. And so sort of getting on with a bit of investment in that, or not putting a bit of investment in that, is probably short-sighted. Probably there aren't enough clients here. The truth is that there isn't a 50-50 balance. A lot of this has been aimed at clients, and I think clients who are here will have, apart from being assailed by the idea that it's your fault and you must you get the rubbish advertising you deserve if you're not a very good client. Apart from that, I think there are some points about not squeezing the creativity out of your advertisers, not just thinking that the only creativity you ever get is from a pitch, because it's not. And one of the most interesting facts which I heard not in any of the sessions is that when people pitch and they come up with some draft campaign, I had no idea about this. Actually, only about a fifth of those in the winner's case. The winners are appointed. In only about a fifth of the cases does the one they came up with in the pitch actually make it into sort of living and breathing activity. So it's actually a lot of that pitching is a waste of time. So clients, there's a clear message to think about relationships and invest in them rather than just constantly see life as a pitch, as is so tempting to do. Agencies, I get the slight impression you're feeling a bit of pressure. There are probably too many of you, and clients are driving you into the ground, and you're letting them because you need the business. Ian, I loved your line, we can say no. Yeah, you can say no, but if you need the business, it's very difficult to say no. So I genuinely feel the pain of the agencies, and the question is how you kind of nudge the clients into not driving you into the ground, endless repitching, half-baked ideas, how you stop the client, because it's not really in the client's interest to do that. It's how you nudge and invest in the relationship so that the clients don't feel so inclined to sort of drive you into the ground and lose at the expense of their own interest. And I think we've seen three kind of things here, three really important themes. There are lots of ways of slicing and dicing the material we've heard. But the way I would do it is, clearly there's an honesty and openness theme about communication. And there's a communication theme has been driven home. And a lot of what we've heard is about communication. There's a recognition of mutual interests theme. It's about you both aligning yourselves and saying, we know that they have to get this, and they know that we have to get this. And just communicating what you're expecting, communicating what those interests are, and aligning your interests via communication is key. And then the third, and a lot of the things we've heard are really around the psychological and personal management of relationships. So there's recognizing the mutual relationships, the kind of coincidence of economic interest. There's the honesty and openness, and there's the sort of handling of personal relationships. And we've heard, 10 ideas in each of those three baskets, whether it's relational contracts which govern the relationship, whether it's touching people, whether it's, what have we had? pitching less often, whether it's being careful about the implicit signals you send in the relationship. You know, we've heard so much, whether it's succession management. These are all basically things that we can put in one of those three baskets. I mean, I've actually written down about 20 or 30 actual specific ideas that have come out of this. But what we're going to do is our last activity of the day is take the 3 to 5 things that came out of each of the ADAPT labs, and we're going to get you to vote on one for each of those ADAPT labs. Now, it's really just for fun, the voting. It's kind of giving you a chance to engage with the ideas by reading them and making a decision as to which one is the most, you think is the one that should be pursued with most vigour, as likely to have some impact. But we want you to just sort of essentially read and think about some of the things that have come out of the ADAPT labs as a way of focusing on actions as opposed to words. So let's take, we're going to have a slide, ADAPT Lab 1, and we had the 3 things here. You heard them in the last session. The 100-day question, which is asking during the pitch, what are we delivering after 100 days? Transition responsibility.
That should be 2 and 3.
Yeah, that should be 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Don't just vote for one because you read. It's going to be very boring if you do that. Transition responsibility and the 100-day charter. So this was the group who were focusing on the first 100 days. What was the transition responsibility idea again? That was?
Team responsible for the pitch. Yes.
Oh, yes. Actually, that's right. Not just thinking about the pitch, but having responsibility for the 100 days. It's a bit like a retention manager, but for the first 100 days. So you've got the pitching manager, 100-day manager, and thereafter. So just pick one of those on your iPads. Which of those do you feel? It's just really a way to get you to engage with them, and it helps the IPA know where your thinking is. And the results coming in, and it is number 3, which was the 100. That's it. Trial. That's it. It's actually the contract, isn't it? It's the pre-understanding of what you're doing for the first 100 days. You're all liking these kind of writing down a simple heads of terms, heads of agreement, really, aren't you? That relationships, first 100 days. It's just writing it down. It's part of communication. Okay, so that's that one. Let's go on to number 2. That one got more votes than the other 2 put together. So the second group, plenty of thoughts. Pitch in a day. Create heads of retention, so that's the retention idea, which we've heard quite a lot about. Partnering with procurement, thinking about procurement as one of the diamond. Do you want to take a vote on those 3? Do you remember what they are? Yeah, what was pitch in a day, actually? I was wondering if it was, what was pitch in a day?
The idea was you could run a pitch in a day, so cut down 178,000.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the time invested by a party would be significant.
I'm not sure we covered that. Okay, so it's an interesting idea that the pitching is all about a beauty contest. It's not about finalising your campaign. So just do it fast and cheap, and you'll still get a lot of relevant information about the folks. The second one is appointing heads of retention. It's a bit like the mobile phone companies who discovered that they were very good at getting business, and then they just lost it all the time, and so then they put all the effort into keeping the business, I suppose. And partnering with procurement, thinking about the procurement team and working on them as well. Do you want to just pick one of those? Just pick one of those, just for fun, really. Let's vote. 2 is the winner, which is retention heads. Retention heads, thank you, Ian. Yeah, retention heads. I think that sounds like a popular idea. We've heard it several times, and I think it's something that agencies want to think about. Okay, let's have a quick look at the last one. Create a psychological contract. So this is another contract. It's the Avis style. What was the Creator Mini Lab to look at the new client agency model? What was that? Someone just tell us what that was briefly.
Multi-agency teams.
Multi-agency teams creating a mini lab. Just give me another sentence on that one, because I would struggle to how to vote on it until who told me it was multi-agency teams? Yeah.
It's creating multi-agency teams so that we can get more efficient working practices
Right. Okay, so it's about multi-agency things. And 100 strokes in 100 days, which was, we're stroking all the time, of course, but 100 willful new extra strokes in 100 days, many of which would be actual physical touching. Which of those do you want to vote on there, folks? Go ahead. And the results are... It was the first one. What was it? Psychological contract. Very good. Very good. I think you like, and I think this actually bears out a lot of what we've been saying today. You like the contracts, you like the managers, you like the understandings, heads of terms for 100 days. It's really just about thinking we need to put a little bit more effort into communication and relationship management. Whether it's a written understanding, whether it's a person whose job is to think about that, whether it's reducing the effort put into the pitch and more into the thinking about the first 100 days. I think the theme comes through very, very strongly. Well, before we all go for a drink, let me just make some final words. This day might be ending, and the sun is coming out. It's looking bright out there. But this is really the beginning of a simple 100-day program focusing on better client agency relationships. So this is really the beginning, it's not the end. And not only just 100 days, it's something to take with you. There's plenty of information, and there will be more. And all the findings, slides, all the stuff is going to be written up on the IPA ADAPT Hub. You'll also find information on joining the LinkedIn group where you can continue the discussion. And you have one final action of the day, which is to complete a feedback form. And it's a feedback form. It's more like a kind of pledge form than a feedback form. So it's a feedback form, which is a kind of typical conference feedback form, what you liked and didn't like and that kind of stuff. But it's also how you'd like to be involved, what you've taken away, what you would like to do, what you think the problems are. So it's a slightly more involved feedback form, and we would love you to fill that out. So you can do that, and then get your glass of wine, I think, next door. Free glass of wine next door. The results of that feedback thing will be collated on a spreadsheet, basically. It will help the IPA very substantially. Plenty of stuff there to follow up. Just behoves me to say thank you for your attention and for your attendance, which I have to say by the end of a long day like this is actually way more than you would normally expect for a conference of this type. And I'm just going to hand over to have the very last word to Ian, your president.
So it is, we're all looking forward to that glass of wine. I'm just going to say a few thank yous. So I'm going to be the groom at the wedding just to say a few thank yous in no particular order. But I'm going to start with Evan, actually, because without Evan, I don't think the event would have been quite as special as I hope you all think it has been. He's been the energy, the perspective that you're bringing to it from someone outside of our industry and bringing in other industries' experience, questioning. You question things that we're all thinking, which is a real skill. And I think overall your professionalism and how you've added value has been fantastic. So for comparing brilliantly, I think we did one big round of applause to Evan. You deserve a special applause. Everyone else is going to group together, actually. Otherwise we'll be here all night. The ADAPT Labs, for the actual people organising the ADAPT Labs, we've all just been up here. A lot of hard work went into that before today, as well as today, and I really thank you. The names, I'm not going to go through them all, you know who you are, you saw them up here. So they get thanked for the idea generation. The speakers for inspiring us. We had a fantastic range of speakers from trade bodies, clients and agencies. Julie, John, Kate, you've really helped inspire us, and that was really important to this whole day, so thank you guys. The media, there's still, I think, some journalists here, and it's really important that you are here because it's about more than just this event, it's about spreading it, and that's a really, really important part of getting this out and getting this cross-industry participation. So I encourage you to say what you think of what we're doing and what we're all trying to do. The IPA team, they're going to be part of a huge round of applause from me personally. Have been unbelievable. I could mention loads of them, but I'm going to mention 4 particularly. Janet, who has pulled the whole thing together, unbelievably well. So without her, Janet, this would not have happened. Catherine from events, Joyce from the whole organising the workshops, the Adapt Labs, and Danielle from a PR point of view. You've all been incredible. And then Paul, I think he's still here from Imagination, who's helped us very much as the team from Imagination bring it together. And lastly, you, for turning up, for participating, and not only participating in the last session particularly, today, and I'm going to congratulate you for what you're going to do going forward coming out of here. So a huge round of applause for the last 5 sets of people. Thank you all very much.